Steven Hurt from Le Mans Ultimate recently said LMP3 cars are a lot of fun.
Been missing out. Take it from me. They are
great fun to drive.
Log building finished.
We really need to start to question what the definition of fun actually is. Now, all jokes aside, the LMP3 car has this very weird kind of a snap, and the one you don't feel coming. These cars, you get the illusion that you can push the car and then all of a sudden your rear grip is gone. There are definitely great solutions for this, driving wise and setup wise. My name is Arnoud, I've been sim racing for a year, created hundreds and hundreds of car setups, created 2 car setup guides, one for Le Mans Ultimate, one for every GT3 car in every simulator. And in this video we're gonna talk about these 4 LMP3 cars, which one is the safest, how to tweak the setup a little bit to avoid spinning, and actually have a lot of fun with these cars, because Steven wasn't lying. And whenever you're a beginner or already really advancing, this video will help you to understand the LMP3 and the LMP2 as well. Let's get into it. So the easiest car after the testing that I did, which wasn't a whole lot, but I was really searching for the limits, and I found that this car was the easiest to drive. And this one I think was most enjoyable, but also kind of tricky. Later in the video we'll also explain how to get rid of that tricky snap behavior. Overall, I thought that the free car was absolutely the slowest, but also a decent safe car as well. For some reason, this first car that they brought out has a different feel to the force feedback. It feels like it's way more detailed in my settings. And I can't pronounce the names of these cars, so I'm not even gonna bother. Before we can start talking about setup, how to not snap and all that stuff, we need to understand the driving style of the LMP3. But before we can understand driving style, we need to understand, like, what is the car doing under different speed states. And if you understand that, then your input's also gonna make a lot of sense. And it will also explain why you lose it on exit all the time and why sometimes that just feels so random. Think about every tire on the car has a certain grip budget. And we can explain this with the grip circle. I've explained this before. It basically means a tire can only do so much braking and cornering simultaneously. And whenever we start to lose the grip, we start to escape the grip circle. So if we spin, we pushing out the rear tires outside of the grip circle. And when we understeer or locking up front brakes, we are pushing the front tires out of the grip circle. When you're driving default setups or fixed series, the easiest way to prevent the rears from escaping the grip circle on the throttle is adding a 1 click of cut. I found that this really helped me to not spin on the throttle. So when you're on the throttle, you lose the grip budget on the rears, which makes you spin. But then on entry, you also have this sudden snap in a lot of cars. So what you then need to do is increase the brake bias. The front value needs to go up. Why does this work? Well, it means that my braking performance is gonna shift to the front tires. As I apply steer lock and I'm hitting the brakes, I'm actually asking more from the front tires so the rear tires can stay in check. But there's a problem with this as well, because this front facing brake bias is hurting my rotation on the entries. So you will be slower, especially in corners where we go faster. So what about faster cornering then? And how does that work in an LMP3 and also LMP2 and hypers? When we drive slowly, meaning 100, 120, 80 kilometers, the grip that all 4 tires will have will be determined on our mechanical grip. So our springs, anti-roll bar and damper settings are going to determine how much grip every tire has. Then when we increase the speed, we have the airflow going over the car, under the car, creating aerodynamics, and we get a blue ring, like extra aerodynamic grip from every tire. So at this stage, we kind of feel super confident because the airflow is pulling the car onto the track even more. Our grip circles actually start to get bigger. And then when we are going even higher, then we have so much aerodynamics pulling the car into our aero balance that it feels like we are immortal and we can really throw the car into all these different corners. However, when you're hitting the brakes, you start to lose out on this aerodynamics, and all of a sudden we're in this delicate situation that we don't have aerodynamics anymore and the mechanical grip needs to completely take over. And on a lot of default setups, the rear suspension is very neutral and balanced, and this is great for lap time but not for safety and consistency. And as we lose the aerodynamics, a lot of times on default setups there is this situation where immediately we push our rear tires out of the grip circle, and when we're in a straight line nothing is going on. We can still like brake really hard and we have the rotation, but once we apply steer lock or there's some inertia in the car, meaning there's like some sort of a swing in the car, which kind of is being promoted because that will gives you that fast feeling. As soon as the track starts to have an elevation change, the rear tires escape the grip circle and you get no warning for this. So how to solve that? And we're going to solve that by creating an environment where we make rear grip circles bigger and front smaller. How do we do this in the setup screen? Trust me, everyone will understand, and this is the gateway into building your own car setups and creating safety for LMP3, LMP2, and also hypercars. So this is the default setup of Le Mans Ultimate. And when you're in fixed series, you can always have a check on the rear anti-roll bar. And the easiest car, the Dominique, or however you pronounce it, has detached rear anti-roll bar. Why is this important? What is the difference? Well, it means rear anti-roll bars, when they are detached, the rears are actually have more connectivity to the track and kind of promotes overload to the front tires, which reduces their grip efficiency. Don't have to remember this. Think about adding stiffness is removing tire grip efficiency. So you can imagine when you stiffen up front anti-roll bars and soften the rear, and you do the same with springs, over here as well, this one can drop. This one is actually softest. So if we create this environment, every time the car is cornering, there's load transfer, elevation changes, you have the fronts being like very stressed and a lot of load needs to be picked up from the front tires, but the rears are like in a free area. They can move around, they have a lot of efficiency, and 9 out of 10 times you can completely remove the horrible snap these cars have. These settings also allow you to use a lower brake bias, but obviously car setup is so much dependent on a lot of stuff. So we actually have a great element of understeer now in the car, which does reduce the lap time a little bit. But for me, as I'm jumping curbs, if I hit the gravel like in the beginning of the video, the rear will stay in check and I can keep going. This way you can actually enjoy it, find limits, and as soon as you hit the limit, you push out the front tires out of the grip circle, you understeer, you lock up the fronts, but you'll keep going and you don't have the death spins. If you did this, you can add rear ride height to offset all the understeer that your setup has. So that will, like, what the basic change is: stiffen up front springs, soften rear springs, add rear ride height to get back some rotation in the car. Now there's something else super important, which will make you so much faster than everyone else on the grid. And again, this is also very much determined on default setups, which default setup has the lowest wing, because max wing and lowest wing setting are a huge difference in the top speed, but it's also a huge difference in corner speed. So I think open setups, you will see a lot of cars that have a lot of like different speeds and stability and all that stuff. I'm gonna help you out a little bit with this, okay? Let me explain. Now, I did a test run on this car, the Kudni, whatever, and with the default setup. And on the full fuel and the medium grip, I did like a 131.8. But then I did some tweaking on the rear wing. So I removed the rear wing on this particular car from the default setup. I did some tweaking. I had to do some tweaking, and I will explain what tweaks that I made. Now have a look on the delta on this straight line. You see how much that is dropping and how much is going to help you to, let's say, overtake a GT3 car from this first sector alone, I almost gained 4/10, and that keeps going throughout the lap. But there is a little bit of an issue here. It's going to be a little bit tricky in a lot of corners. And now I will explain in the setup screen what you can do to balance out your cars a little bit better so you can enjoy top speed and actually get the lap times down from the default setup. On this lap, we improved with... Look at this. We improved like 2/10, but I got like a horrible exit here. But then again, when the speed goes over 200, you see the delta is dropping and dropping and dropping. This is going to give you so much advantage over everyone else if you can run a lower wing setting. This was no near a perfect lap, but we gained like a half a second by just lowering the wing. Before we go into the setup screen, let me explain a high wing. What is it doing? Well, if I add a rear wing, it would create pressure on the rear under high speed, and we get bigger aerodynamic circles on the rear tire. And that creates aerodynamic understeer. If I lower the rear wing, I reduce the air pressure on the rear, and I'm lowering the air pressure on the rear, but I'm also reducing the drag. So I get more top speed from this situation, but I have less airflow to work with. So in corners, you'll be absolutely faster with the high wing, and with low wing, you're gonna be super fast on straights. And it's important, especially on Qatar, you wanna run high wing because you're gonna be so fast and you're gonna be so much safer under high wing, but on the low wing, you'll be quicker. Now, on the low wing, obviously, you can imagine if you lose pressure on the rear, we might spin in fast corners. And now we went to the point we need to change the behavior of the aero box. Aero box is explanatory model to balance out our rear wing setting. So here's that setup that I did that lap time with. We go to chassis aero and you see the low wing over here, detached into roll bar, and that's default actually. How do you change the aero box behavior into a balance again? Well, it's actually very simple. If you're under braking and you add a few packers or you add front ride height, you're reducing the aero box shift forward. This is actually needed in a low wing setting because it creates a balance that we don't pitch and we don't lose the rear. Also, lower rear ride height is a great idea when you're running a lower wing. Together with the detached softer spring rates and softest anti-roll bars for connectivity and mechanical grip, we get into an environment that the cars get really safe. Now here's the thing with the high wing. Let's say you do the high wing. Now all of a sudden, we can soften front springs. We can add a lot of rake in the car. We can maybe run even softer front anti-roll bars as well, and we might even drop the brake bias. These things I just explained with the high wing are gonna make me so much quicker in slow corners, medium speed corners, but as soon as I'm on the straight, I'll be missing out on massive top speeds. So that's always the balance you need to figure out for yourself. Like I explained before, if you add packers, you reduce the aero box movement. So it means that when you hit the brakes, the aero box is gonna stay here and it's gonna prevent the car from pitching, which stops aerodynamic movement to the front. If you lower ride heights on the rear, you're pulling the box backwards. So if you then increase the speed, the aerodynamics are being pulled more of the rear of the car. Imagine this box pulling the car into a certain balance. You can imagine with the high wing setting, we have more airflow to work with, so this position can be positioned more forward with more aggressive ride heights, less packers, and that will make the box shift forwards, and that will make these circles bigger as well. That's why we are faster with high wing in cornering, but obviously we have the drag that's slowing us down on the straights. And I think this is modeled very nicely, but I think it's very meta to run low wing or medium wing on a lot of tracks. I already created a car setup pack for the Ginetta that will balance out these high wing, low wing settings for every track. So you get like high wing, low wing, and different skill levels. So what does that mean? If you're super rookie, you can pick a level 1 or 2, and these cars are immortal. They will never ever spin on you. And then when you increase your skill level or you get better with LMPs, you can go up the higher levels. These will give you more rotation and also potential lap time. And in the description, I have a Substack newsletter. On the bottom, you can find a few free setups to test out these differences. And yeah, the setups that I provide there for Silverstone should really give you the enjoyment of the Ginetta, which is actually, I think, the best car to drive at the moment. So how do you figure out high and low or mid wing for your car setups? Well, if you check out this GT3 video, that will actually explain how I do it with GT3s, and you can copy it one-to-one with LMP3s as well. So have a look. I'm really proud of this video. It explains a lot more stuff about balancing your car with ride heights and aerodynamics and all that good stuff. See you there. It's a good video. I like it a lot still.